Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We'll get started with this week's X-Men books as well as this week's Star Wars book. Kicking things off, we got Wolverine number 13, which is a part of the Hellfire Gala. So, in particular, Wolverine picks up on a specific plot point from an earlier Hellfire Gala book, X-Force. Perks of the same writer working on both books. So, basically, what Beast did to the people of Terra Verde was discovered by Emma Frost, and the safeties got turned off. They were released to their own will, and yeah, they didn't really react well to everything. So we get the follow up. Basically, X-Force ends up taking them on, doing what they can to negate run-in, make it so that as few people as possible find out what's going on. Beast, Wolverine, and Domino all get involved, and Kid Omega helps with the cleanup. Christian Frost is tossed off the Marauder, which we'll get back to that later. Deadpool returns, from having attempted to crash the party earlier, and does manage to save Domino. Beast and Sage argue about what happened, and Sage, by and large, tells Beast exactly where to stick it. It's discovered via Sage's logbook that the Terra Verdeans were promised an armistice with reluctance and suspicion. Beast refused to apologize or participate, but he agreed to let Sage serve as his proxy. The Terra Verdeans will lay down their arms if the mutants relinquish control of the country and allow them political independence along with the following reparations. $1 million US for economic and emotional damages incurred. X-Corp would promise to disregard all pharmaceutical and technological copyrights as it relates to telephonic technology that Terra Verde has under development. Their vote on recognizing the Krakoan trade deal will pivot from a yes to a no. Terra Verde will offer in return a good faith agreement not to speak to the media about the coup. But after the party, Wolverine, Domino, Deadpool, as well as some of the others are drinking. And Beast and Emma have a discussion about what he did. And in fact, basically, Beast says that that one, Charles knew that the hardest decisions will be made in the shadows, and that and Beast has basically volunteered to be the bastard that does those things in the shadows. That's what saves mutant kind from annihilation. However, that shortly after their discussion, they learn that the Marauder is in Madripoor and burning. And we end with a note from Deadpool asking Logan if he can be an X-Force now. But that is where the issue ends. Good issue. It was nice to see the Terra Verde plot once again wrapped up. And the fact that that's actually kind of one of the smaller points of the evening is rather big. It was nice seeing Deadpool in the issue. While I wouldn't be entirely be opposed to him appearing more often, at the same time, yeah, he doesn't. I'm okay with him not showing up. But if anything, he doesn't have a book at the moment. Why not? Why not let him hang out for a while? You can crash on Wolverine's couch. Moving on, however, to our next book, we've got Sword number 6. So, planet-sized X-Men. Krakoa terraformed and claimed Mars, and declared planet Arakko, formerly known as Mars, to be the capital of the Sol System. And you know what? This is probably one of the best shots of in the book. Yeah, that's Captain America on the shore of the Mykenines, looking up at Mars. But we had a chat between Cap and Doom. It's actually it's kind of nice. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, you only ever see Cap and Doom in a comic together when Cap has done something when Doom has done something huge, and so Cap is among the dozens of heroes gathered together to stop him. But it's neat seeing the two of them talk as people. In the background, we also see Henry Peter Gyrick, who we know is part of Orcus, attempting to recruit Vindicator of Alpha Flight. But Cap and Doom talk, and Doom presumes there will likely be a day soon when Cap finds himself needing Doom's help. And he won't make a gala performance out of it. Well, Doom won't. At the peak, the diplomats the various diplomats at Sol Station 1 are discussing what's recently happened. We got Pybox, Star-Lord, Nova, Smasher, and some others. There's actually a rundown. Orbis Stellaris from the Galactic Rim Collective, Nimbus Sternhoof from the Great Camellia, Mentacle of House of Rigel, Embers Kuga of the Xenrix Empire, Retho of the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda, Pybok from Kree-Skrull Alliance, Smasher from the Shi'ar Empire, Star-Lord from Spartax, Novar from the Utopian Kree, and Nova, Richard Rider of Earth. And included is a little note about how Nova is generally referred to in Galactic Society. He stood when all else fell, and we remember. But basically they show off Mysterium, giving quite the demonstration. Frenzy is given a strip of hull metal from a Kree Starliner and bends it easily. However, Mysterium won't bend, and Pybok even gives it a try. But everyone is given some. Brand explained that everyone gets 100 tons of it for their people, because a little goes a long way. And if judiciously applied, could at least foster a minor economic miracle on their worlds. And Brand once again, reinforces the concept that planet Arakko is the capital of the Sol System. When Doom arrives and asks why he should care, he also insults Peter's look, which includes antlers. Or not so much insults, but questions it a bit. And so, but Doom makes a fairly good point. Who's the king? Who's in charge? Who is the regent of who is the king of Mars? Who would speak for Sol? Storm. Aurora Monroe. The regent of Mars, voice of Sol. Wind Rider. She who swam with Akanti. Hadari Yao. Yeah. So we get a report from Pybok to his emperor, Dork the Eighth, aka Hulkling, he who brought warring stars together. Everyone keeping a track of who responded and how to the everything. Spartax, Galactic Rim, Chimelia, Rigel, Shi'ar, Utopian Kree, and Zinrix accepted. The Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda did not. Spartax and the Greater Galactic Rim Collective have an economic necessity for recovery. Great Chimelia, technological necessity, defense. Rigel, technological necessity, expansion. The Shi'ar Empire, ally. Zinrix Empire, ally. The Utopian Kree, out of ideological necessity. The gates of creation are manifold. I vow to open them all, is the Utopian Kree oath. But it is suggested that that the offer be accepted, but not to do so. Not to seem to like you're not. Hulkling to not seem like he's in a rush to do so, and Hulkling actually does agree. Back on Earth, after the party, Magneto has a toast to his helmet. When Wanda arrives, they talk. He tells her of his first daughter, Anya. And he claims her as his daughter. Always. And that he will do what he must to make things right. And that is where the issue ends. Yeah. Galactic politics can be fun. just saying. For some fun points being Smasher and Nova saying that the mutant kind terraforming Mars is going to piss a lot of people on Earth off, and then adding in the fact that Nova is might actually be one of those people. But yeah, solid book. It fun stuff. Storm as the queen is the Queen of Mars. The Queen of Morocco. I love it. I love it thoroughly. Anyway, moving on to our next one. We have X number 3. Where we left off, turns out Onslaught's back. However, it's party time. So, this is Way of X number 3 is the morning after. We get a few bits and pieces of Nightcrawler throughout the night, trying to talk to people. Pixie, the Hellions, Magic, Beast, as well as Loa and Mercury, Northstar and Kyle, the Braddocks, yeah. Apparently, while Wanda and Magneto had their dance, Kurt was actually off to the side in the room and very passed out. Later on, he goes to Nemesis, and apparently Nemesis puts his coffee in quantum entanglement with Wolverine's liver. Also, he might be showing signs of overcaffeination. Legion is not is at the after party on Araco. And apparently things did not go well between Loa and Mercury. And so Pixie suggests that maybe um, Legion could help them with, since Blindfold and Legion had a special way of being intimate. Basically telepathically. Back on Krakoa, Nightcrawler runs into Stacy X. Manages to insult her, but also, is at least somewhat forgiven. Um, she she runs a place on the island called the Bower. It's funny, it's for folks who are lonely, frustrated, or sad. Ones who haven't yet figured out where they fit into paradise. And she says, this is that, every human religion has a past of temple sex. It's just that, you know, as she puts it, Sapiens forgot. She didn't. But yeah, she does cause Nightcrawler to blush a little, but she does want to show Kurt something. So, but back with Legion, he tries to help Mercury and Loa, but it's explained. What he's trying to do is explain like this. It's like a million getting to know you dates all in a moment. It's like blurring together. No borders, no boundaries, sharing everything. Every hope and dream, every pleasure, every fantasy, every cry of delight, every secret. Sadly, we learn a bit about Mercury's past. Apparently she's kind of messed up. And during this, Onslaught appears. Turns out that Legion was largely using what they're going through as bait to draw Onslaught. And yeah, Mercury and Loa split up. Turns out, however, what Stacy wanted to show Kurt was babies. People drop off babies at the Bower, and in fact, Lost is taking care of them. Her powers don't affect the kids. Also, Stacy knew Lost back before. Fabian Cortez proves yet again how much of a piece of shit he is, and however, Onslaught arrives around that time and convinces Lost to crush Fabian. But Pixie, Legion, and Zorn show up to save the day, to save the Bower. However, Onslaught left, and we get another excerpt from the book. This time, first floor for Legion, the Onslaught Revelation, Chapter 3, verses 1 through 9. The being known as Onslaught, to quote Dr. Nemesis, is a unique etheric chimera created from the combined psychic profiles of Professor X and Magneto. It is one of the most potent adversaries mutant kind has ever faced. It seems driven most pointedly by whatever unconscious desire the two men had or have for domination, and its boundless power is restricted only by its access to sustenance. Well, I'm not a man of science. What mattered at the time, indeed what matters still, is that the Onslaught entity is the direct ideological offspring of Krakoa's two most celebrated founding fathers. To publicly acknowledge its presence before we had learned what it wanted or how to fight it would send a shockwave through the community at precisely the moment we were seeking to strengthen it. To this rationale, my young ally Legion at a disturbing point. Given the entity's origins, given that it knew their innermost thoughts more intimately than anyone, could we trust that Xavier and Magneto were not already compromised? We kept our secret. It is an empowerment, not panic, that servants are cast out by those they seek to bite. But later on, Pixie, Legion, Stacy, Nightcrawler, and Dr. Nemesis are talking at the Green Lagoon. And Stacy explains that, some parts are simple. The sexy stuff takes care of itself. What they need are ways of softening the barriers, making mutants feel like they're all in the same story. With Pixie saying, you can't just force people together. We need secrets. We need to belong to ourselves as well as the big stuff. But Stacy has it. It's about risk. Doc gets up and goes and takes a risk, and asks Dazzler if she'd like to dance with him. He also apologizes for being boorish towards her. And that is where the issue ends. Way of X is definitely proving interesting. As much as it did, the gala did help with setting things up. That's kind of an issue I do tend to have with crossovers, which at some point I really do need to get to that. But it's still, the book is still, solid. While I do think that maybe cramming in the Hellfire Gala portions did make it feel a little. I don't know. It didn't do it any favors. That's the main thing. Hellfire Gala didn't do Way of X any favors. However, it wasn't too much of a distraction. Moving on, however, to our next book, we got X-Men Legends number 4. So where we left off here, Cameron Hodge, in a behemoth battlesuit created by Apocalypse, was attacking X-Factor while that ship, their base, was reconfiguring and kind of becoming a sentient death trap. So the battle continues with Apocalypse and Caliban watching from Apocalypse's hidden stronghold. Eventually, the X-Men do triumph over. Eventually, X-Factor does triumph over Hodge, though he can't eat. Hodge gets frustrated by the fact that they don't even stop to think that maybe it's him attacking them and not Apocalypse. And Nathan Christopher does somewhat begin to show off his telekinesis. And but B started trying to rip open the behemoth, and then and he did manage to make a tear in it, but in the armor, which Nathan Christopher does exploit. So eventually, they do manage to. The behemoth is destroyed by Archangel. The remains are teleported back to Apocalypse's base, who then opts instead to send Hodge back to the right, and while also suggesting that maybe Hodge should look into Genosha. Meanwhile, ship flies off into space, where X-Factor will meet the Celestials. And that is where the issue ends. Good stuff. I probably would have a greater affinity for this if I read earlier X-Factor. As it stands, the only stuff with X-Factor I've read from the original 5 era is the stuff, the issues that were parts of Mutant Massacre and Inferno. I've flipped through the Collective Extinction Agenda, but yeah. my earliest exposure to X Factor that really kind of cemented it was in the Peter David era, when the Peter David government mutant team era. But anyway, moving on to our, it was a fun little story. I like the, it kind of does say, okay, so this is how Hodge got here, so on and so forth. I'm presuming that X Factor 43 involved the Celestials somehow, but I haven't read X Factor 43, so I probably should have looked. But yeah. Anyway, moving on to our last of the video, we got Darth Vader number 13. Where we left off, Darth Vader had approached Boku the Hutt about working on getting Vader, along with his associate Ochi, go to Boku the Hutt to pick up Luke's trail, which of course begins with tracking down Solo. Get some flashbacks to him, basically him saying that he intends to destroy Luke. And apparently Vader has also proven that yes, he truly is Vader to Boku the Hutt by, So they track down some of the bounty hunters that are after Fett. Vader's shuttle controls get sliced and the shuttle crashes. Ochi and Vader deal with the crush, which includes IG-88. IG-88's primary seems to truly be going after, well, Vader. And he has a control panel which allows, after getting one of his hands cut off by Vader, he reveals he has a control panel which can actually take control of Vader's mechanic portions. And very nearly uses that to cause Vader to decapitate himself. However, Vader gets hold of the manages to yank the control panel from IG-88 with the Force, and then forces IG-88 to shoot it, to blow his own head off. But yeah, they get some information about the various things that IG-88 was looking into concerning finding the various trying to track down Han Solo, and of course Crimson Dawn is mentioned. Boku has realized that basically Vader says that he knows that Boku planned to betray him from the beginning. Yet Boku's still there. He could have run, but he didn't. So Vader asked Boku what he's learned. Apparently, Boku has learned that Vader cannot be defeated. On Coruscant, now, okay, I'm not sure if what they're saying is if they're going with the what was established in the Legends expanded universe about IG-88, where he's technically a multitude of or multiple IG-88s out there. But yeah, IG-88 arrives on Coruscant, talks to a cabal that wishes to, led by Administrator Moore, basically kind of a, against Vader. Each of them is nothing. However, even if Vader grew more powerful than the Emperor, he can still only kill them one at a time. If they stand together, however, they could be more powerful than Vader could imagine. And that is where the issue ends. That's be it for interesting stuff. I will. That feels more like it's setting up things that will be happening in the Well, basically in the meantime with Darth Vader. I don't think that. Well, the presence of IG8 does make me think it will have some bearing on the overall War of the Bounty Hunters story arc. But it still feels like something that will be taken care of before Darth Vader arrives on the Death Star, on the second Death Star in Return of the Jedi. And who knows? Maybe some of them will survive and go on to become antagonists in post Battle of Endor Star Wars comics. We'll just have to see. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.